Cement trucks going on the other day, it was crazy out there. They're done now. They poured it last night. Oh, good. Yeah, they're done. They poured, she poured that whole driveway and patio in the back, everything.
My sister just did that, cost her $90. I said, my sister just did that, cost her $90.
Oh, I'm sure it cost her that much too. Yeah, that's not cheap. Yeah, now I'm texting Sandy, letting her know where I'm at. Because she couldn't come.
We don't have to carry anything.
Calling the City Council special meeting to order. It's June 28th, Friday, and 2:30 p.m. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker. Councilmember Curley.
Here.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Here.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Here.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Here.
All right, moving on to the first hearing of the public. The first hearing of the public is open. Would anyone wish to be heard?
Hi, Cindy Federley, Eastpointe resident. I'm mortified that you plan to discuss this 9-mile reconstruction at a special meeting, not giving residents time to respond. I do want to say I've spoken out against the road diet going down to 3 lanes. Now the roundabout is thrown into this mix. There was an article in the Detroit News on June 10th of this year that you can pull up. They cited there are 180 roundabouts in Michigan. The total crashes at those intersections has increased by 58%. That's pretty significant. Although the injury rates dropped, that's still 58% more accidents happen at roundabouts. Do you really think it's reasonable to put one on 9-mile road when people already drive like idiots? I think safety is something we should talk about. The businesses don't want that road diet. I don't think any of them are going to be positive about a roundabout. You really need to listen to the residents on this, please. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, Mary Hall Rayford, Eastpointe resident. I'm a little surprised about a Friday afternoon meeting when there are a number of people who would love to be here to hear what you have to say. And I'm also surprised that, considering the fact that I've heard before that you didn't want to do a review of either a city manager or attorney without everyone being present, that this is taking place today. I don't know what's going on with the city and the council, but I can tell you I'm extremely disappointed that not all of the residents involved in the city are being considered. I wanted to say something like, when are people going to start looking for working brain cells with this situation with 9 Mile? How many times do you have to hear it's not a good idea? I don't understand why we keep bringing it up, but I would like to see the cost of the road studies, because it seems to me that instead of worrying about saving money, you're spending money unnecessarily. I'll be the first to admit I don't know the first thing about what should happen with a road. But you have hired and are paying experts to know that. Why aren't you listening to them? Residents of Eastpointe deserve better than what we have right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. I see Councilman Baker is not here, but I will say to him, maybe it'll get through to him, that I appreciate his vote against the Pride Month, the Eastpointe Pride Month. And so hopefully my message gets through to him. His vote represented a lot more people than he probably knows. Concerning the city garden, the more you look into it, it looks really scamish. And that property should be put up for sale and sold. You dump 200,000 into a parking lot, for, I don't know what. And here we are again with the circus of the road. Nobody wants what you want on this road. The signs are still up. I passed some of them on the way here. They never come down. None of these businesses want this project. You guys are lost. And you know which three I'm talking about. You're just completely lost. You're delusional. Nobody wants what you want. And that should mean something to you.
Thank you. And just for the record, Councilman Baker is here. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Carol Reed, lifelong resident of Eastpointe, Michigan. I went and interviewed the businesses along 9 Mile. I'm the precinct delegate in the area of Brittany to Kelly and 9 Mile to Stevens. This is a list of the businesses that do not want the road diet. Duroni Hardware, Sunoco Gas Station, Milestone Restaurant, T-Mobile, Fresh Choice Market, LaPerry Landscaping, VFW Post 6782, Eastpointe Police, Eastpointe Fire Department, George's Auto Repair, McDonald's, Milestone Restaurant, Sunoco Gas Station, Captain Jay's Fish and Chips, Legends Coney Island, McDonald's, Liquor Store, All Points Auto, Safe Light Glass, Sullivan's Bar, Man Cave Cuts, Nooner's Towing. East Detroit Bakery said, if you put this up, they're leaving and going to St. Clair Shores, and the only grocery store in East Detroit, Eastpointe, is going to move out because they're losing customers and they can't pay the new tax bills. This is an idea that sucks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
How you doing? I was here before, voicing my opinion on 9 Mile, and I agree with these people. Someone up there is delusional. Get in your car, drive down East Warren Avenue between Cadieux and Outer Drive. They got what you're proposing to do. It's a wreck. It's useless. I mean, I want to know, you want walkways, you want people riding their bikes, from where to where? You've got the police department that don't want it, the fire department doesn't want it, 99.9% of the population of Eastpointe doesn't want it, and you people are just trying to steamroll it through. Are you taking lessons from Washington or Lansing for your political aspirations in the future? This is ridiculous. We are your constituency. You're supposed to be up there working for us. You are our voice, not your own. This isn't for your legacy in the future where you could drive down the street, tell your grandchildren, I was responsible for that. That's not what this is about. All these people over here have opinions. And I live on a street that I'm sure they're going to close off because it goes from 9 Mile to Topher. What good is that street? So I'm going to have to go around. It's ridiculous. You need to figure out who you work for. You know, we traded in a tyrant mayor for what? For Saddam Hussein? We don't need it. You need to listen to the people that are here, that are paying your salaries, that you're supposed to be our voice for, Mr. Mayor. And the rest of the people here. I don't know where your heads are at, but how can you possibly have 99% of the population that don't want it, and then you try to steamroll it through? The next thing you're going to do is have meetings at 4 o'clock in the morning and not tell anybody, just like they do in Washington. You can't take lessons from it. I mean, whatever it takes to get this to stop, we're going to continue to come back. Tuesdays on 2:30 in the afternoon, when everybody's supposed to be at work, we're still here. We don't want it. We do not want it. I can speak 4 languages. If English can't do it for you, we'll try a different one. We don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, Diana Jones, longtime resident of Eastpointe. First of all, I was pretty excited when they opened up the 5 lanes on 9 Mile the other day. I was like, yes, I get to drive from work and not have to stop at every yield sign for 12 blocks. So very excited, love having that portion back. So let's keep going with that. The fact that members of council are still pursuing a road diet after receiving an overwhelming outcry of disapproval from residents and businesses during the previous proposal from Gratiot to Tuscany is extremely frustrating. Also frustrating that I had to leave work to walk across the street to be here today at the last minute. You were supposed to be representing what the citizens want, not pushing your personal agendas. You are trying to make 9 Mile something it's not. I've lived in San Diego, in San Francisco. I have lived in Orlando and in Jacksonville. I've even lived abroad in Taiwan. I've been to places that are cutesy and have walking areas and stuff. And you know what? If that's what I wanted now, I'd go back and move there. I want to be on a coast with palm trees, but I'm not pushing like, hey, let's make a lake over here and some palm trees. It's not what Eastpointe is. The function of 9 Mile is to get people from A to B. It doesn't need to be made scenic. It needs to be repaired and restored to being fully functional. Please. The same concerns of emergency services are still in play here. Just because this road diet isn't in front of them, they still need to get down to the rest of the Eastpointe. Services from other cities that come and help us out still need to get in here. I'm as concerned about safety driving down 9 Mile as much as the next person. People don't follow safety rules. But taking away lanes and adding roundabouts, that's not going to make people drive safer. You can't make people do the right thing other than maybe start setting up traffic stops or whatever where you're starting to ticket these people. But day to day, even just yesterday, I was driving from here into St. Clair Shores, and I'm at the light at the freeway, and I'm in the left lane. The person next to me decides they're making a right turn from the right lane across the right turn lane where a car was. And I'm like, that's not legal. And then I go through the bridge, and there's a person in front of me making a left turn to get on the freeway. Also not okay. So maybe we need to start doing things to make drivers better since they can't seem to do it themselves. But these proposals that you're making, that's not the right answer. So nobody wants to pay for this. Nobody wants to go through all of this. Just please pave the road, put it back the way it should be, and let's stop this nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you.
It ain't easy, Harv. Good afternoon, Mayor, council members, attorney, police officers, firemen, people of Eastpointe. I see we got a meeting here on number 3. What the hell happened to number 2? You want to tell us? Did number 2 pass? Did you guys, I know you have to come to the finance department to get more money because you don't have enough money in it from the highway department. So you haven't done that yet. So what happened to number 2? A lot of these people would ask that too, because that's part of our problem with the whole road. You sit up there and you are sneaking in, and I use that word loudly, sneaking in. I've worked for the state of Michigan, the highway department, as a junior engineer for 40 years. Never have I seen something like this. Never. I understand that some of you have met with the highway engineers who will make the decision on 3 lanes, etc. I know who you are, but it's not for me to say anything. I'm just saying that there are some of you that met with them. I happen to drinking coffee with all of these gentlemen, play golf with them, go to the bar with them and that. And they're staunchly against 3 lanes. And when you throw in this circle, that's what I call it, circle, that's going to confuse seniors. I'm a senior. Wait till my wife sees it. You guys are going to be lucky she don't come down here and tear the wall off that thing and beat you up. This is a home establishment city. People live here and then go to work outside the city. There's quite a few that go out. There's quite a few that come in. And in the planning for things, meetings, the meeting you held here the last time at a council meeting was irresponsible and against the Planning Commission rules. The Planning Commission is supposed to hold those meetings with the general public and the commercial people.
You have 30 seconds.
Why have you changed the rules? Why have you? I know election time's coming up, and I know what I'm going to be doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon. Walter Kubiak, Eastpointe resident, and very angry. You all know how I feel about the road diet. There's a great big sign in front of my house. I wish I could make it bigger. I've had people stop and ask me what that is. So I'm educating them. But now you want to put in a roundabout. Let me ask you something. You've got a brand new fire engine. Is that fire engine going to be able to clear both of those roundabouts? Number 2, do you people stay up late at night thinking of ways to screw over this city and the people that live in it? Because that's exactly what you're doing. And I tell you what, I hope the next time you're up for re-election, we got new people sitting there. We may have 1 new people, depending on what happens next Tuesday.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else wish to be heard?
I don't come very often to meetings, and I'm listening to everybody and all their concerns. Anyway, I don't have that big of a concern because I see how 9 Mile was so well done on the other side of Gratiot. It's beautiful, and you make it more beautiful with planting trees in the middle and that thing. That's nice. It took a long time and takes a long time with this side of 9 Mile. And I've been living here since 1975, right on Virginia, and I see all what's going on, and I hear all, and I read the newspaper, the local newspaper, the one that comes for nothing, But I think we should be a little bit more open and a little bit more patient. I'm pretty sure that you do talk when you have these plans, that you do talk to the neighborhood that are right on 9 Mile. At least I assume you do. And each one has a different thing about everything, a different idea. And I do like roundabouts because I see 9 Mile is always full and Kelly is not. And we wait for Kelly until our light goes green again, where those could be already going onto Expressway. And I think this is probably why you were thinking that, how it works with the fire trucks. And, you know, you probably figured that out too. You know, they probably have to, I know the one that is fireman and is in a truck and, oh, you have to go this way, you know. But people get used to it, you know, so we got to go a little bit more with the future. And I won't see it that much anymore because I'm going on 86, but I'm very happy with East Detroit, Eastpointe, and Gratiot. I mean, they took all the trees down years ago on Gratiot, in the middle of Gratiot. I was very sad about it, but it's all new trees again and all nice again. And I think on 9 Mile, it bothered me too that all those nice trees were taken out, but I hear some of them were sick. But I think that you're going to plant some again, so we have a green East Detroit, just like, or Eastpointe, just like Grosse Pointe has trees all over. We should do that too. So that's my main thing. So I thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Hello, members of the council. David Deroni of Deroni True Value Hardware. I know there was talk about additional road studies or traffic studies being done, and I don't know whether those are taking place now, but my concern was if there's road studies being done now, why 9 Mile traffic is much lighter than it was in the past when the road studies showed there was like average 22,000 cars a day. We know from customers that we talk to, and I'm sure if you talk to the police department, they know how many cars are being diverted to Topher or Stevens, and the amount of the residents on those streets aren't thrilled with the uptick in traffic that they're seeing there with the speeding and whatnot. So my concern was if there are road studies being done now and it shows, you're trying to get maybe to a magical number that, MDOT would approve the funding because they see that maybe it would meet the engineering standards because there is such low traffic traveling on 9 Mile now, but it doesn't seem like it would be an accurate study. With the roundabouts, I've traveled through roundabouts and they do keep traffic going, but the roundabouts that I've been through, I don't see pedestrian crosswalks. I don't know how, like at 9 and Kelly, how if roundabouts keep moving and we want to make Eastpointe a walkable city for the residents, and if you've got residents that are physically challenged or if they're in wheelchairs, we've got Kevin, a regular customer of ours that's in a motorized wheelchair. How did they negotiate a roundabout? I mean, is there a button that you press to get a light to change? But I guess if there's a light, then it defeats the purpose of having a roundabout. So, but when I saw the cost amount, I fell out of my chair. The additional like $1 million for 9 and Kelly and 900-some thousand for the one at Schroeder. It would be great at some point if you three realize that this is not something the businesses are in favor of, and the residents have been telling you over and over it's not something that they're in favor of. Let's just put 9 Mile to 5 and move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Name's Larry Edwards, Eastpointe residents. I'd like to say to the residents, citizens and all, this is a good example of what we've been looking at for some time now with our council and with our government, whether it's from the local or from the federal and what have you. This is not the first time this has been brought up. This is probably going on, if my memory serves me correctly, if not the fourth, it's the fifth or the sixth time of being rejected and told no and what have you. We can't this is an example that you can't allow any and everybody to have control and power because it becomes corrupt. A good example is that people are using different strategies and different methods and different wordings and what have you to try to manipulate the citizens into doing things. For instance, lobbyists. Lobbyists is nothing but a modern time, what do you call it? As well as being a snake and what have you, bribing. You're just bribing somebody. You have one that's doing the bribing and one that's accepting it. They just figure out ways and where to put different sources so they can go and reap it at later times and what have you. This is what politics is about. When you get the wrong type of people in these offices and what have you, we went down from the complete project of being 3 stages now, and then it was rejected, and to now they're willing to just accept a third of it. Looking real silly. Having 5 lanes on both ends, east and west, and then right in the center, you want a little cutout for 1 lane. That's absurd. You have to be totally dimensional to even think of something like that and what have you. I'm tired of having to go over it. When the people have said they don't want it, they don't want it and what have you. But you got people that are so determined and what have you, that they're going to continually to do it regardless of what people say, whether it's for their political career or whatever they're trying to do, whatever the case is behind this and what have you. How many more times do we have to continue to accept, to come back for these here type of meetings until we get these people out of office that continually to want to go against what the people say? I mean, it's just done got to the point to where now and everything, it's a joke. It's a laughing stock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else?
Go ahead. I'm going to go last.
Hi, Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. First of all, thank you, Councilman Baker and Councilman Curley, for continuing to represent what the people are asking on a multitude of issues. I haven't followed Eastpointe politics for very long, although I've lived here since I was a child in 1966. But over the past few months, watching city council meetings and reading up on things and that, you two strike me as having a great deal of integrity and character and are conducting yourself in a way that the residents appreciate. You are all public servants. You perform public service, which means that you serve the public. And the two of you, I see, listening to residents and responding to residents and trying to uphold what the residents want. We might not always agree with it, but I feel that you do take the time and listen and do your due diligence, and you vote in a manner that represents us. This road diet issue, first off, police and fire are against it. That right there should be a non-starter. When public safety is the issue, that should be it. There should be no more discussion after that. Add to that you've got businesses, residents that are taking their time, that are expressing their opinions, that are telling you reasons, legitimate reasons why they do not want that road to be 3 lanes. And unfortunately, Mr. Mayor and a couple of our council people, you don't live at 9 and Kelly, you live west of Gratiot. You don't have to drive that area. You will never have to drive a roundabout that you decide to put in. People that live along 9 Mile, they have to get to work, they have to get their kids to school. You have the high school and possibly now the middle school that'll be on 9 Mile Road. You've got the police station, the fire station on 9 Mile Road. That is the central road of the city. It divides the city in half. It is our main route to I-94. You've had statistics from back in 2016 about working people
You have 30 seconds.
that work in Eastpointe. Over 90% of them work outside of the city. They have to get to their jobs. They have to get their kids to school. Why would you be reducing the main thoroughfare, especially when people don't want it? It just smacks of arrogance and being so out of touch with the community that you live in. And I'm trying not to be upset about this, but it's frustrating that these are all good, intelligent people. We don't need a babysitter. We know what we want. And it's your job to honor our wishes. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I chose to go last because I wanted to make sure everybody had their opportunity to express their concerns, and I support them. I am speaking on a completely different topic. I'm asking that the nuisance tenant ordinance is amended because you have slumlords who could care less about their piss-poor behavior of their nuisance tenants that put the rest of us in harm's way. Their violent, angry outbursts, threats against me, swearing at me every time I walk out my front or back door. It's relentless, it's nonstop, it's uncalled for, it's unwarranted. The landlord, she doesn't give a damn. She could care less. The police and Chief Haynes, this has no bearing on you whatsoever. Unfortunately, you inherited a department that there's a lot of officers that are just miserable. They are doing nothing to follow their code of ethics. They do absolutely nothing to hold these nuisance tenants responsible for creating public nuisance, for harassment, for threats of violence. Numerous ordinances are being violated. Nothing's done. I get nothing but attitude. Well, you call all the time. Well, you know what? Do your damn job and I won't have to call all the time. They're not following their code of ethics. They're putting me in harm's way. I've got everything on my security cameras showing all of the violations. And they could care less. Now they decided they're going to pull in the rest of the neighborhood kids to harass me. I'm having to argue with some idiot tenant earlier this afternoon who's trespassing on my property and refuses to leave because I yelled at his kid to get off my driveway. These kids have known for years, stay off my property. I have a no trespassing sign. They're fires, they're fire pit. The fire department could have cared less too. They could have burned down my neighbor's garage. He has his car in the garage, several gasoline-powered lawn equipment. If the embers caught onto his garage, that wouldn't have just been a fire. That would have been a damn explosion, and it would have killed my 80-year-old neighbor. But, who cares? Let him have the damn fire pit. Who cares? It would take him out. It also would have affected my house. Damn it, we're paying salaries for these public servants to do their jobs and not give us the damn attitude they do.
Your time is
Follow
up.
the damn laws and ordinances. Please amend this ordinance. Landlords.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Chandra McMillian. I'm here with Pastor Gabriel Alexander on behalf of Better Life Church. As you all may be aware, we appreciate that you did approve our request for fireworks on July 3rd. Since that time, we've had a complicating factor in terms of the vendor that we had selected no longer being available due to a scheduling conflict. We do have everything set, including their coaching and the exact same equipment. And so we wanted to, after having had extensive conversations with staff here, to actually just request for that one change and to get approval for that.
Thank you. Yes, what we're asking for, first of all, thank you for giving us this opportunity to stand before you all and share with you the different changes. And also, this is my first meeting, and so very interesting. Very interesting. So I commend all of you to have the fortitude and the ability to not to hear people out. I just want to just say that we will be lifting you all up in prayer so that you all can continue to do the job that you're doing. So thank you, first of all, for giving me this opportunity. I said the other portion just to put a smile on y'all face because you guys have really taken it on the chin today. But nevertheless, what we're asking for is a change in the operator. Due to the type of fireworks that we have, and we do all this for the community specifically. And so with that said, getting as you always say, a professional, they only deal with the type of fireworks that you deal with downtown, not the consumer grade. And so each one of them we've spoken with have all just said that it's something that we can do. We have the system, which is this system here, which is electronic, that is remote. The same thing that they did last year. We were the ones that helped set up things. And so it's just a simple change as far as the operator goes, rather than having someone to come, because no one is going to be able to come. That's their most busiest time of the year, between the 29th through the 5th of, the 29th of June through the 5th of July. And so I'm asking for a change in that part as far as the operator goes. And also, if weather permits, if it rains on the 3rd, we would like to also have that permission for the 4th instead, if the weather does not work out. So that's all we're asking for, and I would appreciate your consideration for this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, just to let you all know, everything on our end has already been invested. So this is something that we do specifically for the community of Eastpointe. That's all I would have to say.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else?
Mayor, if I may, I did receive an email. We're in receipt from Cheryl, sorry if this is wrong, Kirouac, Kirouac. That email has been forwarded to all of council, admin, and the city attorney, and it will be on record in the manager's office if anyone would like to review a copy for public comment.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Oh, one moment. Hearing of the public is closed. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I may be out of line, but that's okay. Ma'am, I know you're upset about your situation at your house. And I totally agree with you that the nuisance ordinance very well might be able to be looked at. But our police officers are not what you say they are. They are dedicated people who put their lives out for all of us. And although you may be upset for what they have, you claim what they haven't done, I think your remarks about condemning and accusing our police force, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I'm sorry that, I'm not sorry that she said it. I just think that she was totally wrong on that situation, so thank you.
All right, let's move on to new business, approval of the award of the drinking water state revolving fund contract, resolution 24-1985. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Can we get an introduction on this, please?
Sure.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is for the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loan grant that the city has received. This is basically phase 2, if you will, of the DWRF project. We already completed one section of Gratiot as well as Beechwood from Juliana to 9 Mile and lead service replacements on Tuscany Street as part of phase 1. This is the second phase, which includes water main replacement, basically completing all of the rest of Gratiot that still needs to be replaced on southbound Gratiot from 10 Mile to 9 Mile, northbound Gratiot from Topher to 10 Mile, as well as several residential streets. All these mains were installed in the late 20s, early 30s, have surpassed their design life. The city has been fortunate enough to get $8.6 million in grant money through Eagle, as well as a bipartisan infrastructure law grant of almost $1 million, of which half of that will be forgiven, principal forgiveness, with the rest of the project being funded through the city water and sewer funds. We took bids on this last week. The low bid was from Deponio Contracting at just over $15.5 million. There were 4 bids that were received. With working through the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loan, there is a timeline that has to be met. And we have to get the final part of the loan application submitted, which includes all the bid information and the tentative award of the contract by July 8th. So in front of you today is the tentative contract award to Deponio Contracting to complete this project. The project would start this fall and would go in and it's separated into 3 phases that would be completed in 2026.
All right. Did you have any questions?
Sure. How do we determine which water mains we're replacing?
That was determined a few years back with DPW. DPW had done a pretty detailed analysis of water mains that experience frequent water main breaks. The age of the water main was based upon the water asset management plan that we had put together roughly 5 or 6 years ago as well. That's what determined which mains were priority in being replaced. As far as the residential streets, and obviously Gratiot are your oldest mains that were put in the late 20s. Those are larger diameter mains, and we wanted to get those replaced as well.
Okay. Thank you. And then one other question. I saw that, some of the mains, like you said, have lead service lines along the main there. And I was just comparing the map a little bit, and I see that we did replace some of the lead service lines on some of these, and there's a few remaining. How come we didn't prioritize, if we're replacing, I think, for example, like Crescentwood, when we started the lead service line project, there were 5 lead service lines on that section. We've replaced 4 of the 5, so there's just 1 remaining. How come we didn't leave those 4 and do 4 others in the city so that these could all be done at once?
That, I know the Department of Public Works has been scheduling those lead water service replacements. I did identify, they've been submitting those as they're completed to us so that we can update the map. It was identified that there were a couple locations, Crescentwood being one of those, where there were lead water services that were replaced that were to be included into this project, and we did inform DPW at that time again that those streets that are part of the DWRF project need to stay with the DWRF project. So once that was identified, we made sure that that those streets, that those lead services are replaced under the DWRF.
Okay. And then, wait, maybe I did have a third question. I was looking at the different prices for the different contractors, and it seems like a huge difference is the cost of the actual pipe. How are they so different? I mean, they'll all be equal, right? Like, we're not choosing a lower quality water main if we go with one contractor or the other, right, of the material?
That's correct. Yeah, the specification calls for specific pipe, ductile iron pipe, so they're all bidding on the same material. It could be coming from a different supplier, but it is the same material, ductile iron class 54. It just depends on the markup that they're putting on. Each contractor could be putting a different markup on it. But looking at the pricing that Deponio did provide, the pricing does look reasonable and compares with past projects that have been done recently in the city.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that we award the drinking water state revolving fund contract to Deponio Contracting LLC, and approve resolution number 24-1985 to tentatively award the construction contract for water system improvements.
Is there support?
Support.
All right. Please call the roll.
Wait, hold on, sorry, maybe I did think of one more question,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
The July 8th, Mr. Kern, deadline that you mentioned, is that like MDOT, or not MDOT, state deadline?
It is, yeah. So I guess just to elaborate on that. So yeah, the last part of the loan application along with the tentative contract award is due to Eagle by July 8th. That is to meet the loan closing date. The loan closing date, I believe, is August 29th. That's the last week of August. At that point, the contract award would become final and construction could start anytime after September 15th of this year.
Okay, so we have to do it by that date to meet this one line you said about the tentative contract award
Correct.
contingent upon closure of that loan expected in late August 2024?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And one other thing related to that, there is a bond resolution that will be on the July 16th meeting. This had to be approved before they could do that resolution. So it's just a matter of timing to get it in for the bid letting on the bonds.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Moving on to item B, discussion on 9 Mile Phase 3 estimated project costs. Ms. Walton, would you like to open with this? I know we got your memo.
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to provide clarification before I hand it over to the finance director. This was something that administration had asked to place on the agenda to review the finances for the 9 Mile project Phase 3. So at the very beginning of a project, we of course, review the estimated cost. And speaking with our engineers, we were aware that the 9 Mile costs were estimated to be higher than the federal earmark that we were planning to receive. So we were marked for $4.38 million. No matter of the design, whether it was a 5-lane or a 3-lane, we knew that the estimate of the cost of the project exceeded that. And so we needed to review with council what the direction was in terms of requesting MDOT for a change of scope and limiting the entire construction project from just Tuscany to Kelly, or if we had finances from our own coffers and our major road funds to continue the project from Kelly on to I-94 or to I-94. And so that is what is placed here today. And then the finance director will go ahead and review those finances with council now.
All right, Mr. Blum.
As the schedule gets passed down, I would like to say if you start having 4 a.m. council meetings, I'm retiring. Just putting that out there. What this schedule shows, the real question is, are we doing Tuscany to Cali or Tuscany to 94? So what I've done is I put the major street fund together. I've got an estimate of where I believe we will end fiscal year 24 at 3.6 million. We still owe money to the state of Michigan. They have they do final accounting after all the bills have come in. We still have not paid for the West City Limits to Gratiot piece. I expect to have an invoice there by the end of this calendar year, but they're notorious for being slow on getting that in. So that's a carryover amount. The Gratiot to Tuscany piece, we will owe some money on that. That hasn't even started yet, so that's actually quite a ways down the road. But what that would leave us is about 1.9 million for Phase 3. The Tuscany to Kelly projection is 4.4 million, little over 4.4 million with federal funds of just under 4.4 million. That would leave us with 55,000 out of pocket for that stretch. Going Kelly to 94 is another 1.9 million. We already have 816,000 budgeted for fiscal year 25. So just keep that in mind. And then the AEW cost, and that is for the whole Tuscany to 94 piece of 585. what this shows is that we would have a fund deficit of $655,000 if we did the whole project. But that also assumes that all work is complete, all bills are paid by June 30th of 2025, which is never going to happen. We will be able to cover that cost in the future years as the bills come in. I did not include the Kelly intersection. With the discussions over the redesign of Kelly, it didn't seem to make sense to spend money on that particular intersection until a decision's made on that particular road. So it's really looking at everything but the Kelly and 9 Mile intersection in this projection. I personally would recommend going forward with the project. We have the money. There's some significant developments going on in that Kelly to 94 stretch, and it would be better to have the project done and over with before somebody sets up shop and then gets disrupted with another construction project. But that's my 2 cents on that one. But I'm not concerned about that deficit because I know it's not going to actually happen at that point in time. And we will have the funds in future fiscal years.
Is this just assuming that going forward, we won't do the transfer out into local roads then?
Oh, no, that still continues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was the same question I was going to ask. So if we adjusted that even, we could,
You could pay
if
for
we
it.
took like
Yeah.
1 year off or something to finish this and then maybe later down
Correct.
the line made up for it or something like that.
Yep.
All right, do you need a motion? I know that this discussion was really put on because we were trying to check in on whether or not we could afford the whole Phase 3 project.
No, so as long as council is fine with keeping the project as planned, we're fine without a motion.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Somebody makes a motion, what are they saying? Or whoever makes a motion, what are we actually saying that we're going to do? Is this discussion going to be about the roundabout, or would that motion say that we're going to do the roundabout?
So today's issue wasn't really a discussion on the design. We talked about this at a previous meeting and agreed to put it on this special meeting because the cost of these cement materials and construction costs, since this project was initially planned, has gone up significantly. So whether or not we could do Phase 3 as a whole chunk, or if we would have to either cut it in half or shorten the project, was why this was put on the agenda.
So I know there's some people on the council that are in favor of a roundabout, correct? There are some of us. When would that discussion come up, and how would that affect the cost of the entire project?
I think we're still kind of in the design phases. I don't know if Mr. Kern can speak to that.
Yeah, we're still in the design phase and the initial traffic study phase as well, so we would be coming to you at a later date as far as the design of the alternates for this project.
And I know that part of our motion when we put all this in going forward was to get the traffic studies, and I believe you guys are waiting until the road is opened up to do it while
That's
it's all
to get updated traffic counts and finish the studies. We're waiting for the work that Consumers Energy's contractor is doing at the east end of the city, which should be wrapping up in the next few weeks. And once that's done, then we would be doing those traffic counts and updating those studies and then present those results to you.
Ryan, some time ago, you mentioned for this project that you felt that the state may in fact decide to close off some streets. Would you elaborate on that statement that you made several months ago?
It may or may not happen. That discussion would have to be with MDOT, whether they would recommend closure of streets. It's going to be dependent upon those traffic studies. I can't answer that at this time until those traffic studies are complete.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Can I jump in on the?
You can jump in, then I'll come back.
Side streets?
Yeah.
Just, I thought we've talked about this before, and MDOT cannot require us to close side streets. That would have to be our decision, is what we've discussed before. Mr. Kern?
Again, that would have to be up to, that's MDOT's decision. They're the ones reviewing the plans and approving the plans, so that would be up to them based upon the traffic studies as well.
But MDOT cannot force us to close the side street.
That, I can't answer that. I don't know. That would be up to our, once we meet with
believe that's
MDOT,
true,
we can have that
but-
discussion.
Well, before we go any further, so I know that there were comments made during the hearing of the public that there was concern that we place this on an afternoon meeting on a Friday to discuss the road diet plan. I actually don't want to go that far into that discussion. That's not what, I know that people saw it on the agenda and they thought we were sitting down and discussing the plans and making decisions tonight on that. I think that's what people got the impression of. Today was just to discuss whether or not we can afford to do all the way to 94. So I mean, I would rather have the full discussion on the designs once when we actually have more information, and two, when it's expected to be on the agenda and not in the middle of the day.
Well, no, you're half right. I understand that we were just trying to get the price to that, but Ryan, when Councilman DeMonico asked you that question, you said that you disagreed with him and you say, no, does the state in fact have a right to close whatever they want to close? They can come into our city. I don't give a damn about the study. I want to know from you as a professional with AEW, can the state in fact come in and close anything they want, any street that they want?
I mean, it's possible it could be a condition of the approval, but again, it would be up to MDOT.
Wait a minute, that's not the question, if it's possible. My question is, in your opinion, does the state have the right to come in without our approval, the council's approval, and close the street, our streets?
Mr. Mayor, if
What?
I may.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think that the issue is, it's not that the state can actually shut down streets, but if you want a project approved, then you would have to do X, Y, and Z. It's not that they would shut down the streets, am I clear? Does that make sense? So it's more of a condition. If you want A, you have to do X. If you want B, you may have to do Y. Does that clear it up at all?
Absolutely not. All right, I'm just, gosh darn it, there's people that are concerned about the streets being closed. And Kim, what you're saying is, yes, they can close it. I mean, it's like, look, son, you can do this, but you got to do this first. So you have to do this. They dictate that you have to do that. So you're saying in essence that if we want A and B from the state and they come in and want to close a street, they can do it.
No, we don't have that answer. We don't have that answer.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
One of the requirements of the motion was for administration and AEW to meet with SEMCOG, the Federal Aid Committee, the Federal Highway Administration, and MDOT, and we can certainly ask your question and then report back to council with a formal answer, Mr. Curley.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I understand what you're saying, that you don't, it's 3:30 and you don't want to have, sounds to me like you don't want to have us to answer any questions concerning the whole project. We don't have a second hearing of the public, so the people can't come up and ask any more questions because with a special meeting, there's only one hearing of the public. That's the way it is, that's okay. But you're the mayor, and you can dictate that, but I have a lot of questions as well, but I'm not going to ask any more because my first question wasn't answered to my satisfaction.
Well, I don't want anyone to feel shut down from asking any questions. I just know we don't have any of the information yet. It's going to be several weeks, but I do want to respond to the question you were trying to get answered. I'm sorry, Mr. Kern, this has been a frustrating thing since the beginning of this discussion. The answer to your question is no. MDOT cannot force us to shut down streets unless it comes to us and then we decide to put it into a plan in order to get it approved. It can't happen without council's approval. So the answer is no. And I wish Mr. Kern, I think that's not a very complicated answer. The answer is no. So, and I don't know why it's got to be given in such a roundabout way.
Do you have a response to that?
Again, we got to meet with MDOT, so that's, we'll be meeting with them to finalize the design, so, right.
Does anyone else have any comments they want to make during this discussion?
Yes, I'd like to say something. I'd just like to keep in mind that today was supposed to be the discussion on the 9-mile phase estimated project costs, I believe. Our finance director was supposed to supply us with this information, which you have, and that was what we were discussing today. I don't think we were getting into the depths of all of this today. Am I correct?
No, you are.
Okay.
It's difficult not to, though. I get that. So.
And I understand that, but I mean, I thought we were just specifically speaking as to the projected costs.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Margaret, I apologize if I'm out of line, but we don't meet now for 18 or 19 days. And there's a lot of questions that are going around to the public, what's going on. And we're here, we're elected officials, and if we take an extra 20 minutes to try to get some questions answered, I don't see the problem. But you're the mayor, and if you want to cut off discussion, you have the absolute right to do that.
Well, no, I was just saying I wanted to limit it because it wasn't really expected to be discussed today. But if you have other questions that you want to ask at this point, I mean, go ahead.
Well, let's take a look, visualize. Ryan, this is going to be to you. Let's visualize 9 Mile Road from Beechwood, that's the first street, right, Beechwood, to the expressway. We're starting at Beechwood. Visualize that and then articulate what the road, how big the roads are. So Beechwood to what? It's still 5 lanes, right? I can't hear you when you just shake your head.
You're saying Beechwood to where?
Well, you tell me.
Well, 5 lanes, right now
at least to Gratiot.
Right now it's planned 5 lanes Beechwood to Tuscany.
Tuscany.
Yes.
And from Tuscany to Kelly?
Between the Tuscany and Kelly phase, there's the potential of the 5-lane alternative or the 3-lane alternative, depending upon what council decides on the designs that we complete.
Okay, and then after that, it would be 5 lanes.
It would be a 4 to 5 lane. We're looking at between Kelly to 94 having a median for some, because there's restricted left turns there, trying to make that clearer so that, because those left turn restrictions aren't necessarily followed. So it would be a mix of 4 to 5 lanes from Kelly to 94.
Okay. I guess bottom line is, Council, and I think you were going to ask a question. I think I cut you off. I apologize. I apologize for that. But, okay, so I'm not going to ask any more questions. I'm not on the prevailing side anyway, so I don't know why I don't know why I even bother asking questions for my part, because I'm not on the prevailing side, so it doesn't matter what I say. It's not going to change anything. But I'll wait the 18 days until we can talk more. And if we have to put on the item discussion of 9 Mile Road, that's it.
All right. Councilman Curley, I ask plenty of questions when I'm not on the prevailing side too. So I think it is perfectly fine. I think you should be. My question was about the earmark from the federal government, the $4.38 million. What are the strings attached? I guess specifically, at least my first question is, were they expecting us to go from Tuscany to 94? What is the requirement? Because can we even do Tuscany to Kelly according to that earmark? Like, how does that work?
I did have discussions with MDOT on that. That can be scaled back to Tuscany to Kelly, that earmark. Just a matter of writing correspondence on city letterhead to send that over to MDOT stating that due to the increase in the funds that we want to scale that back. They have no issue with that at all.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
I just want to add one thing. I'm real brief with it. My understanding of what kind of, between all the dialogue that took place today, I mean, we had our residents and business owners come up and speak and share their concerns. And my understanding, Mayor, is that you're trying to clarify that, hey, even though there was a misconception, or there was a misconception amongst some people, that the belief is that we were going to be discussing more things than what's actually on the agenda. And being that this is a special agenda and it's listed the way that it is, you were just clarifying that, no, we're not discussing the roundabouts, we're not discussing lane reductions. It's literally, do we have the money to do the project? And I believe, I was listening to Ms. Holman and Mr. Kern, and I believe that they gave a very technical answer that they were obligated to give, even though it seemed like, maybe to some, it seemed like semantics or whatever, or what have you, but I don't believe that that's what it was. I believe they were giving a very honest answer from their vantage point or from their perspective, in that, from what I heard was that MDOT approves the plans, but MDOT does not come in and shut down the roads, which you said that no, MDOT will not shut down the roads, they will not force us. But what it sounded like that I was getting from Mr. Kern and Ms. Holman is that still that they have to approve the plans, and it seemed like a very technical thing, but I guess if I'm understanding that correctly, it's not that they come in and shut it down and say, council, you have to do this, but if we have to go to them for the plan approval, they can still say, no, we don't approve the plans. And so maybe in a roundabout way of saying it, it's kind of forcing our hands, but from a technical sense, they're not forcing our hands. They just won't approve the plans as we present them. So I think, I don't know, am I misunderstanding anything, or is that correct in my assessment of what you're saying? So I do agree that, I'm glad that people come out and share their feelings about the road. It's already been known what my position was about anything concerning altering the road, but one of the reasons why I didn't say anything more was because I was trying to still be respectful and honor the way that this agenda item was presented on a special meeting. So I don't want anybody to walk away feeling like they've been unheard, but as it's presented, and to try to make sure, I don't say the wrong thing or overstep a boundary based off of this agenda item, is why there was not more discussion, or I didn't give input to the discussion any more than what I'm saying right now. It's just still trying to be mindful that we stick to a certain agenda based off of special meetings, or at least that's my understanding. And if I'm wrong, I'll take that correction. But, I want everybody to still be encouraged that we hear you, but when more information is given to us, then we can have a more detailed discussion and give a more informed answer to some of the questions that are out there. So that's my 2 cents.
Oh, thank you. All right, we'll move on to mayor and council reports. Start with Councilman DeMonico.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and letting us know your opinion. Glad to see you out, and that's all.
All right, Councilwoman Pachadlik.
Just like to congratulate the Oddfellows on the 100th year anniversary, and mention that they're having their event this evening. Is that correct? This evening? That's all.
All right, Councilman Curley.
Well, Councilman Baker, I appreciate your words, but in my opinion, when we sit up here, it doesn't matter to me if it's a special meeting or a regular meeting, when we have an opportunity to ask questions and be concerned about something, I think we should take the opportunity to do that. And I don't think I disrespected anybody, and I know you didn't say that. But, the other things, a couple things. The Oddfellows are having a 100th anniversary from 3 to 10 o'clock next door. And then also the community garden is having an open house from 5 to 8. So if you have a chance to visit both of them, that would be nice. I know that our city attorney will be bringing at our next meeting, I hope, resolutions concerning the grass cutting about putting a notice on the person's door, and then also a lease for the community garden. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, they're both going to, they both will be agenda items that we can speak freely on either one of them. We have a closed session to go to, so as I said before, there's no second hearing of the public at a special meeting. So I think that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Baker.
All right, well, I feel like I've spoken quite a bit in my last statement, but no, and Councilman Curley, just to respond, I didn't take anything you said as with the intent of being disrespectful towards anyone, because frankly, why are we up here, right? Residents talk to us, they tell us what their concerns are. We're supposed to take those into consideration, and we move based off of what's desired. We know that there are varying opinions amongst residents, but ultimately we look at the majority of what is being said to us, and we have to take that into consideration. So, but just to piggyback the point, no, I didn't take anything that was said as being disrespectful or having that intent. My thing with speaking to or addressing the residents is that we do hear you, and that's something you should know. You should feel confident in coming up, talking to us, or emailing us, or however you choose to reach out to us. And that's why we're here. We're put here to listen and speak on your behalf, to make decisions based on what it is that you tell us that you want. As long as we don't violate, the Constitution or the ordinances of the city, which we take an oath to uphold. But none of what was brought before us today indicated any of that, that was desired by anybody. So my thing is that I want everybody to feel comfortable reaching out. If you disagree with us, we have to take that. We have to listen to that. That's why we're here. We chose to run for this position. We got elected to sit in this position, and we have to take all that comes with it, whether we deem it good, bad, fun, happy, unpleasant, or uncomfortable. We have to take what comes with that. And so my whole intention was just to let you know that, hey, even though I didn't say much to it, just based off of how this agenda item was presented, I'm listening to you. Many people have responded, have sent correspondence through email, and my intention is to always reply back, even if it's that, hey, I will forward something to the appropriate person. My intention is to always reply back. So, but we appreciate you guys coming out, sharing your thoughts with us, and to piggyback, congratulations to the Odd Fellows on 100 years. They do great work, and it's a good thing that should be celebrated. And that is all that I have.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I didn't think any of the discussion up here was disrespectful or anything like that. I did want to just keep on task for what was on the agenda. I know that there were questions about how the study was being done. Mr. Duroni, it's going to be done when the road's actually fully open. So it's going to be a few weeks before we have information. And I also, Ms. Hall-Rayford, you commented we should be looking at that information. So at this point, we are just waiting on getting more information from our engineers before we really have that full discussion. And when that happens, they'll be on the agenda so everyone's aware of it. And I assume we'll be at a regular meeting. I don't think we're going to be planning a special meeting for that. Congratulations to the Odd Fellows, and I hope everyone has a happy 4th. Can we get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Support.
Pursuant to MCL 152681A?
Absolutely.
For the city attorney and city manager reviews.
All right.
Amended as such.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
All right, and we are going into closed session at 3:42 p.m. All right, calling the meeting
So moved.
back to order at 5:33. There was a motion to adjourn. Is there support?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley, Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes, even though I said support, but yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes, meeting adjourned at 5:34.